You ever struggle with square nails? Let me show you guys how you're gonna get it down perfect. Most important is setting up your form so you're gonna be able to build that perfectly square free edge. I take my form and then I make sure that once I have the tab underneath, right here, I'm going to pinch only this much of that front tab. I wanna try to keep this as open and as round as I possibly can. You guys see that? Okay, once we get the form on, you're gonna notice that I'm gonna flatten this out. Boom, come in. This is going to allow me to get the form flush to the free edge. I'm gonna use my fingers just to make sure that it's going to be dead straight. This is going to give you the opportunity to build that free edge absolutely straight. I'm gonna be working with Cover Taupe. It's a color that you guys are going to love, right? It's a warm gray color, absolutely unbelievable. Okay, now, I'm gonna submerge my brush. I'm going to tap. I'm gonna pull down. I'm gonna bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm gonna release the liquid from the back end of the brush. This is gonna give me that clay-like consistency. Once I set this to the form and release, I'm going to walk it from the top all the way down. Now here's the thing, I need to get it even with the growth channel. From the top part of the bead is where I'm going to start walking it up to the top, and you're going to notice that I'm going to be able to tuck it right into that corner and keep my sidewalls dead straight. I'm immediately going to walk back over the top, get it straight with the sidewalls, and continue to do the same thing until I reach that corner. Notice how square the free edge stays. Now, once you have it attached to the corners, what you can do is you can brush it out to smooth it. And this is also going to kind of extend the length. But what this really does is it makes sure that everything is going to be even. Then I could use the side of my brush to square off this free edge, right, as even as I possibly can. I'm going to continue working over the top, brushing it forward to make it nice and even, and trying to keep my sidewalls, as you can see, coming off that growth channel as square as we possibly can. When you're doing your overlay, right, start from the cuticle area, and you need a self-leveling characteristic that's going to run over the apex, right, the stress area. I'm going to submerge my brush and load it with liquid, lightly tap on one side. I'm going to pull down, bounce, 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 bounce. 1, 2, 3, at 4, I'm going to slow release it. I'm going to use the tip of my brush and just lightly sliding as close to the cuticle and the perimeter as I possibly can, allowing the bead to run past that stress area. Now here, from the corner in the front, I'm going to start to pull and wipe. Start to pull and wipe. This is going to shape a natural upper arch, right? You'll notice too, as I'm coming down, I'm really focusing on trying to pull my sides. As it starts to run down, I pull my sides so that it tapers down nicely. If you have to kind of rebalance some of the volume so the arch stays intact, you can do that. But you notice I'm not really trying to pull it all the way to the end of the tip. Right, this is really important because all we're trying to do is form that apex as natural as possible. Now my blending bead, if I submerge my brush, I come in, I get myself a nice bead. I can tap to release. Look where I place my bead with my brush backwards, right in between those two spots. And I'm gonna blend back, right? So that it blends into that body with perfection. I don't need to pull anything. I'm just literally going to be walking it from side to side until that bead gets all the way down and fills in all of that negative space that I built the free edge with. So create the right volume for the tip. And again, not add too much thickness, right? You want to try to keep this as natural as possible. All right, you choose to brush back, right? And the best part about this is if you decided that you needed to add, again, a little bit, just remember, right? Just by adding a small amount and then brushing it down, as you can see, you're going to be able to fill any loose areas or negative space areas without adding too much volume. It's not necessary to add a large amount, especially if you're able to complete most of the body in that one bead. We're going to allow this to dry, and then I'm going to show you guys how you're going to be able to use the proper finishing techniques to get this razor sharp straight. Once the product dries, we want to be able to use our 5 points of filing to get this dead straight before we use our electric file to remove bulk and finish to perfection. So I need to make sure that I'm keeping my hand file dead straight, right? That way I file that right side ledge all the way on the right side. I'm going to do the same thing on the left. You're going to notice that it's going to put a straight shelf all the way from the end of the free edge almost to the back of the cuticle area. Now, instead of angling my file, I need to keep this dead straight so that we're going to be able to keep a dead, look at that, square free edge on the front. I'm going to turn the hand to the side. We're going to get our lower arches perfect. I'm going to line my file at the lowest point, keep contact until I reach the lower arch, the end of the lower arch. You're going to notice that we're going to have a perfectly straight, right, lower arch that extends from the end of the growth channel all the way to the end of the free edge. Easiest way again is by turning the hand to the side, lining up at the lowest point, keeping contact until your hand file reaches. It's all at once till it reaches, and then you notice that you have an absolutely perfect extension again from the end of the growth channel all the way to the end of the tip. Okay. Once the sides have been filed, we're now going to use our electric file to remove bulk from the surface of the enhancement. I'm going to set my electric file around 14,000 RPMs. Look at the side profile. Just going to taper that cuticle area down slightly to round it down. I'm going to do the same thing all the way to the free edge so that we build the perfect upper arch. Remember, I'm right-handed, so I'm pulling in one direction. I don't go side to side. I'm going to look down the barrel of the nail. All right, I need to get my sides even. I need to get the free edge, right, C-curve even from one side to another. Pulling in one direction towards myself. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now, when I'm doing my cuticle area, I need to make sure, again, I'm not going to over-file it. Barely touch it, barely touch it, barely touch it, and then start working through the rest of the body to get this as even as we possibly can. Okay. All right. So as you can see, all we have to do is use our hand file to get this into perfection. I'm going to start with my left side. I'm going to gently go around the cuticle area to blend this as tight as we can. I'm going to do my left side first. And then once I come down my left side, one of the things that I do to make sure that my edges are straight, notice I start here and I go straight up. Keep the edges straight, go straight up. That way I can follow the curvature, right, of my hand file, making sure that everything is going to be even. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Do my right side. And then follow through the balance of the nail. And then what I want to do last but not least is I want to be able to look down the barrel of the nail here. This is where I'm going to be able to get it dead square. And then one of the things I want to be able to do, once I have it even from both sides, is I want to be able to lay my hand file over the surface to make sure that everything is going to be perfect. All right, so you can see we built out a really square tip. I'm going to go ahead and apply protein bond over the surface, apply finish gel top coat, cure that for 2 minutes, and you guys are going to see exactly what it looks like when it shines.